Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch, and we have a lot to talk about on the Crime Talk docket today. Robert Kraft's masseuse is in legal hot water. Jussie Smollett's attorneys get sued for defamation for statements made by them defending Mr. Smollett. A 2-month search of a landfill comes up empty in the Kelsey Bharath missing persons case. And drug bosses are going to jail. And yes, we have the dumb criminal of the week. Let's talk about it. All right, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk. If you like the channel, please subscribe. If you leave a comment, we appreciate that. If you want to have notifications, please hit that little bell so that you receive information about new content that we are putting out. And we have links below to our Facebook and Instagram pages. Police in Florida have arrested the alleged prostitute that was seen with NFL owner Robert Kraft in the spa sex video. Miss Shen Mingbi, 58, appeared before a judge Tuesday morning. Miss Mingbi is accused of performing sex acts on other customers, and she is charged with 1 count of deriving profits from prostitution and 8 counts of offering to commit prostitution. She was placed in custody, and she was released on $5,000 bail. Now, the Robert Kraft sex tape is getting very interesting. Mr. Kraft was offered basically a pretty good deal to just admit the case, do a little public service, and move along. He, along with the others that were charged in that case, have all said no. And there's going to be some very interesting challenges to this case. First of all, the fact that the police were able to put a video camera in a business is frankly shocking. This is the only type of thing that you usually would see if there was some sort of mob type of case. But the fact that they received permission to put that in there, they don't know who exactly would be going in there. And apparently the basis that the officers applied for the application was that they were looking for human sex trafficking. Apparently, no human sex trafficking taking place. So that's going to be an interesting issue. The police in Florida have used these type of cases before, and only once when somebody challenged it, that individual had his case dismissed. Most people simply moved along, took their lumps, and didn't want the public notoriety. Additionally, in this particular case, the customers of the spa brought a class action lawsuit against the police and prosecutors in this case, claiming that the release of the video would violate their right to privacy because it would show them in states of undress. That case was originally filed by the man going by the name of John Doe, who claimed he did not engage in any criminal activity but was caught on video as part of the investigation. If the judge has allowed the tapes to be released once the cases are over, but if you are an innocent person in for a massage, you wouldn't want your private parts exposed to anyone. So I think the police are going to have a difficult time explaining their actions in this particular case. And I think when the day is done, I believe Mr. Kraft will be walking away from this matter. The next matter on the docket is the case of Jussie Smollett. For those of you who do not recall or don't remember, Jussie Smollett is an actor. He appeared on the Fox show Empire. Well, Jussie Smollett was arrested for some 16 felony counts of basically lying to police officers and investigators and staging a fake hate crime attack against him. He continues to maintain that he did nothing wrong and that he is in fact the victim in this particular case. He received a great resolution by anyone's standards because he basically got a deferred prosecution and the case is now closed. He forfeited a $10,000 bond that was posted, and he did some community public community service work, which was now completed. Case is done. The city of Chicago is now suing Smollett for the $130,000 it took in overtime and cost of investigation. If Mr. Smollett is smart, he doesn't have to pay that. The district attorney completely dropped the ball on this particular matter because they did not make that as a requirement for the plea deal. So I don't think that the city will prevail, but hey, I've been wrong before. Additionally, there's been some breaking news in this case. The district attorney has resigned, and she is moving along. There's still a federal investigation as to the circumstances surrounding that, and if I were a betting man, I would think that that federal investigation may have something to do with the district attorney moving along. Mr. Smollett was represented by Tina Glandian and Mark Garagos. For those of you who don't know, Mark Garagos, very prominent attorney in California, always seems to get the big clients, and he can be somewhat aggressive. Well, in this particular case, the brothers who were hired by Mr. Smollett, Ola and Abi Osundario, I'm sure I probably mispronounced that, but what can you do? And Mark Garagos and his partner is a defendant, a Garagos and Garagos law firm, and Miss Tina Glandon made various statements which wound them up in court. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how this case proceeds because obviously the attorneys can comment about court matters with some protection. Additionally, the brothers are now considered basically public figures. So you have to show not only that it was a false statement, but everybody knew that it was a false and reckless statement. So we will have to see if this case goes forward. Now, the good thing is the judge will have to take these matters as true, and the Garagos and his law firm, Mr. Garagos and his law firm, will have to file an answer in this particular case. I don't think this is going away anytime soon. I think it will drag on. But the brothers have some pretty high-powered attorneys in this particular case. The allegations against the brothers are somewhat scandalous, basically alleging same-sex sexual activity, that they were involved in the distribution of steroids and things of that nature. These brothers take offense at that their bodybuilding, their lifestyle is all drug-free, and that basically by making those allegations as it relates to one brother that they were involved in homosexual activity, that they could be killed and or in danger in their home country of Nigeria. Although they were born here in the United States, I do believe they still have family back there. Mr. Smollett, curiously enough, though, is not named in the complaint, but we'll see how Mark Garagos handles that. As you may recall, Mark Garagos also had some issues as his name popped up as an unindicted co-conspirator with Michael Avenatti, who is charged both in California, United States District Court, for basically wire fraud, money laundering, and stealing clients' money, as well as on the East Coast in New York for basically allegedly shaking down Nike to settle cases. Mark Garagos was his co-counsel. So Mark Garagos has a lot on his plate right now, not only representing clients, but a lot going on being a defendant as well. Now, the Kelsey Bharath case. For those of you who do not know, Kelsey Bharath was a woman who lived down in Colorado Springs, and she has a boyfriend by the name of Patrick Frazee. Kelsey Bharath went missing, and her parents did not know where she was, but the child between Miss Berreth and Mr. Frazee had been basically transferred to him after or right before Thanksgiving, and she subsequently went missing. Patrick Frazee was an initial suspect. He did not cooperate with police in regards to making any statements or confessing, if that's your idea of cooperating. But he had another girlfriend who ultimately has come in, who was a nurse from Idaho, and said that she was solicited on 3 occasions by Mr. Frazee to kill Miss Berreth, and that she was going to do it on 3 occasions. And ultimately she did not, and that Mr. Frazee ultimately went in and killed Miss Berreth with a baseball bat, and that she was then called from Idaho to come and clean up the mess. Although not impossible to prove a murder case without a body, it is certainly more difficult. I know some people have disagreed with me on that you don't need a body. I agree, you don't, but it's a lot more difficult because you can think, oh, she's going to be walking in the door. You just never know. But in this particular case, it seems to be that everyone's sort of conceding that she is dead. They just have no body. And the police spent nearly 2 months searching a Colorado landfill looking for Miss Berreth's remains, and over that 2 months, they have found nothing. The police did state that they were disappointed by not being able to find anything, but they will continue the search so that Kelsey Bharath receives justice. We have drug bosses going to jail, and these are not your typical drug bosses like Mexican drug cartel members, El Chapo. This is the first time a major drug distribution company, their former executives, are criminally charged in the opioid crisis. Now, what Lawrence Dowd, the company's former CEO, and William Petruski, the company's former chief compliance officer, are individually charged with conspiracy to distribute controlled substances and conspiracy to defraud the United States. Petruski is also charged with willfully failing to file suspicious order reports with the Drug Enforcement Administration. And it is alleged that these individuals allowed what they knew to be suspicious orders and large quantities of drugs to go forward to help their profits. Both of these men, Mr. Dowd, 75, and Petruski, now face nearly life in prison. Dowd will appear in court Tuesday, and Petruski pled guilty last Friday and obviously is facing sentencing. The company that both men worked for, Rochester Drug Cooperative, distributed controlled substances to those pharmacies even after identifying red flags. Employees described some of the company's customers as very suspicious and even characterized particular pharmacies as a DA investigation in the making, or like a stick of dynamite waiting for the DEA to light the fuse, the statement said. Executives at the Rochester Drug Cooperative purposely kept suspicions of pharmacies' illegal activities from the DEA, fearing investigation into the pharmacies and potentially losing drug customers, according to the criminal complaint. The company identified 8,300 potentially suspicious orders of interest, including thousands of oxycodone orders between 2012 and 2016, but only reported 4 to the United States Attorney. Now, I have handled cases like this because doctors, pharmacists, all need to report they have a license to distribute controlled substances, and it's kept. Their records are kept rather meticulously, assuming they're accurate, as to how many orders are coming in. I had a case once where a pharmacist in a small town was, tens of thousands of oxycodone pills every day, and the pharmacist was prosecuted, lost his license, as well as all the people that were basically exchanging money for the drugs or sex for the drugs because they were users and they were addicts and they needed the stuff and they were doing whatever they needed to do. So it is interesting, as always, to see the theory. It's also interesting to see what these people are charged with, in the sense that they're not obviously charged with selling the drugs, but they're charged with conspiracy to let these orders go out when they know or should have known that they shouldn't be going out, because they were probably involved in the illegal distribution of drugs. Now, we also have another case out of Nevada. An ex-NFL player is accused of killing a girl, 5, and forced her to do sit-ups and said she was chunky. Siri Wood is a former Notre Dame running back and also played in the NFL. Wood also played briefly with the New England Patriots, the Baltimore Ravens, Seattle Seahawks, and Buffalo Bills, primarily as a practice squad player. and capped his NFL career with a 2-day appearance for Buffalo, notching a single reception and rushing twice for 3 yards before a season-ending injury in 2015. Now, the child is that of his girlfriend, who is also charged, and her name is Amy Taylor. She's charged with child abuse and neglect after the girl was checked into a Las Vegas hospital unresponsive with her legs, torso, and abdomen covered in bruises. The young child, Lareya, died, and Wood was ultimately charged with murder. Wood also would force the child to do a workout because he thought that she was overweight, and the arrest reports show that he would force her to run sprints in the apartment, do sit-ups and wall squats, according to the reports, because to get her on the right path due to her being chunky. The autopsy revealed that Lareya had fractured ribs, multiple skull contusions, and a large liver laceration, believed to be probable cause of her death. Now, this is going to be serious charges for Mr. Wood. Mr. Wood, you should have picked on somebody your own size and not a small child to show that you are bigger and badder than a 5-year-old. Not very impressive. We'll be following that case. Now, moving on to the dumb criminal of the week. This dumb criminal of the week is anonymous. Why? Because nobody knows who she is, and police in St. Louis are looking for a woman who trashed a burger over a chocolate ice cream. Now, according to the St. Louis police, investigators classified the incident as a burglary and listed 3 women as victims. The suspects, the police say, became enraged, that is, after ordering her food and then used an aluminum baseball bat to break glass windows of the business and threatened the victims, all of whom were not injured. Investigators say the woman went ballistic after the hamburger joint's workers informed her that they only had vanilla ice cream. Upon learning that there was no chocolate ice cream, she went ballistic by spitting on the waitstaff and then taking the baseball bat to the business. If anyone knows who this may be, let her know. She is a contestant for Dumb Criminal of the Week and may receive an official Crime Talk mug. Our next contestants for the Dumb Criminal of the Week is actually a duo. An Ohio couple allegedly made sugar cookies spiked with laxatives and gave the baked goods to striking school employees because they did not like the noise they were making from the picket line. According to investigators, Bo Cossins and Rachel Sherrick are both facing felony contamination charges. Both are locked up on a $1 million bond. It's alleged that the couple lives on the street where the workers have been protesting since going on strike in late March. The picketers on the line outside the Claymont Primary School in Urchville are often saluted by passing motorists with a honk of the horn. Police began investigating the pair upon receiving a tip about videos of Costin's Facebook showing the couple preparing the laxative spiked treats. Additionally, video captured the couple discussing the delivery of the cookies to the strikers. A union official told the cops that no strikers ate the cookies, which were apparently delivered by a friend of the accused couple. The cookies were turned over to police and have been sent to a laboratory for testing. Once again, if you're going to commit a crime, don't put it on Facebook. I don't know how many people we've talked about thus far that have been in the same situation. Now, this is something that's got to make you chuckle. A gigantic raid in Detroit is where a mistake was made that led to police officers arresting, well, each other. Turns out undercover cops in Detroit posed as drug dealers to help catch a pair of sellers. However, thanks to a little tiny mess up, undercover police group thought that they were real drug dealers, so they raided the house, which quickly became one of the most embarrassing things the department has ever seen, according to police officials. So much so that the police chief even admitted it. Yes, these dum-dums didn't check in first to see who they were going after. Authorities stated that the undercover officers from the 12th precinct went undercover with the purpose of pretending to be drug dealers so they would arrest the potential buyers. The two pretend buyers went in the house where the pretend drug dealer officers from Precinct 11 were at. The officers were there to arrest the buyers, and that's where things got interesting. To sum it up, basically, neither the 12 precinct officers or the 11th knew that they were dealing with other undercover officers. So they began to rampage the place when they arrived and quickly began to yell at each other, which led to fighting like a bunch of hooligans. There's been an internal investigation that has been launched by the Detroit Police Department because, of course, there were guns involved, punches being thrown everywhere. The police stated that over 24 Detroit police officers were present that evening. 2 of those officers were treated and hospitalized for their injuries, 1 for contusions to his eye socket and 1 from a split lip. Several officers were placed on restricted duty, and 1 supervisor was removed from the special operations team. And yes, Crime Talk aficionados, the Dumb Criminals of the Week actually goes to the Precinct 12 and Precinct 11 Detroit Police Department. And yes, they shall both receive a complimentary Crime Talk mug. All they need to do is send me an email at scott@scottreisch.com, and we will get that to them. We appreciate you watching. If you like the channel, please subscribe, hit that like button, hit that little bell if you want notifications. Thank you for watching Crime Talk.